Public Safety Committee meeting for Tuesday, July 2nd is called to order at 6:38 p.m. May I get a call of order? May I get a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call, please?
Roll call, Chairperson Cubillos will not be in today. Vice Chair Nickerson
Here.
and Member Roman.
Here.
Also present for the record, Janice Jacoby, Village Clerk, Christia Alou, Village Manager, Norman Powell, Interim Village Attorney, Councilperson Earlham, and Chief Magnuson.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I appreciate it. Good to see you here also. May I please have an approval of the agenda if there are any additions or deletions or anything that you guys want?
I move approval.
Thank you very much. I'll second that, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Approval of the minutes. I'm going to table this until the next meeting unless we've had. So we'll table the minutes until the next committee meeting. Thank you very much. Right now, we're going to go into good and welfare. This is the time for anybody in the audience, if you have anything to come and say about anything on the agenda dealing with public safety. This is your time to come and say that now. Just say your name and address for the record, and the floor will be yours. Seeing that at the moment. We're going to move right down to the agenda items, and we have the one and only, the distinguished chief. How you doing, my brother?
How are you, sir?
And he is going to come up and he's going to give us an update on the police department.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see you all. I started on May 6th. I think we had the first meeting the next day. We didn't have one in June, so the things I'm going to talk about basically cover a nice 2-month period that allowed me some time to transition in and to steer the ship, so to speak, with buy-in from everybody, as well as with a vision that I have for the police department and how it fits within the village of El Portel. On May 8th, the day after the meeting, I met with the Horace Mann principal, and we discussed some future collaborations as a police department. When I say I, I'm speaking perhaps as I, but also with the entire village of El Portel Police Department. I suppose I could use the word we. But we discussed future collaboration with the school regarding after-school shooting exercises and walkthroughs through the school throughout the summer. Excuse me. So in the month of July, we'll get on that in earnest and start meeting with them. I know after the 4th of July, things will start getting back to normal over there with their getting ready for the fall to start. Had a meeting with the entire police department. I have completed, and you all have gotten the updated revisions for policies. Everybody in the police department, I put all the policies on a thumb drive for them to have access to. They get updates every time there's going to be a new policy, or they'll get it in email, and it's up to them to upload it to their jump drive so that it's a current policy. We just recently, our most recent one, by the way, was just the other day, where I researched it enough and we put together a senior citizens outreach policy. And over the weekend, I was able to get the list and break it down for the officers that they're responsible during the course of a week to go out and meet with the seniors, make sure they're okay, and bring them some items of information, as they may not be social media savvy, some. For instance, the barbecue this coming week on the 4th of July. So they get their information that way, and we get to check on them as well. But I have to say that a lot of them have been doing it anyway. There's people they go by, they talk to anyway. So it's just reinforced it. It's now a policy, and everybody's happy with it. Also did a full inspection of all the officers' driver's licenses and their files to make sure they're up to date. I know there was stuff in the McGrath report, keeping up with their training. I have taken on that task of being not the trainer per se, but the administrative trainer. Everything's in order, all the files are in order. We all qualified on the range last week. 2 people did not because they had previous commitments. We will get them also qualified, and all their records are up to date with that. The window tints have been removed from the police car from when we last talked. I don't have a problem with it in the back window or in the back seat window, but what I wanted, and it was buy-in from the police, the front window and the side windows, people should be able to see who the police are, not just somebody sitting in a car that they couldn't describe if they were asked. So that came up. And again, this was in May. We started a bargaining agreement opener with the PBA, stayed busy with that. We did the 5K run. We have the officers out there for the annual 5K run. I'm also attending the intercoastal meetings and getting a lot of intel back and forth. I'm providing a lot of intel with things from the Larchmont area and a number of other areas, and gaining info back as well. Fortunately, their info doesn't have much to do with El Portel, but as they acknowledged when I said it in the meeting, you know, we are quiet, but they're surrounded by people that we want to come running through. And so we're on our P's and Q's, but what was thought of in the past that there was no big communication with the county, that's gone by the wayside. There's a lot of good communication with the county and the important units that can assist us. I'm revising and I'm going through the mutual aid agreements. I started with Aventura, then I said, why am I doing this? Why don't I just start in circles, the closest on out, and move my way out to the municipalities that can help us the most right there. Those are completed, they're ready to get signed and sent out. Then I'll move forward farther out on the map to places that's good to have, but we probably won't use them as much as the ones closest to us. So we are there. We caught up on the report. I know last year's statistical reports ended in October. So able to go back and look up everything there. We're up to date. That's completed. It's on the website. I just finished today's monthly report, statistical. That's been pushed forward for the website. So we are up to date mid-year through the year 2019 as well. Everybody here has a package in their mailbox as well. I put together some more informative packages for you all to take a look at your leisure and peruse through that. That's more individual based. So that's where we are with that. Back at the end of May, I attended the Police Executive Research Forum on Miami Beach, a 3-day conference for police chiefs across the nation. I was able to bring a lot of interesting information back, and was able to talk a little bit about El Portel. Some people that were curious, you know, where is that? I know you were in Miami, so I explained everything to them. And I also put out something about police agencies and really it was a good conversation about the sizes, and I know you'll appreciate this, Vice Mayor, comparing it to boxing. I mean, you could be a heavyweight, you could be a bantamweight, but you got to know how to fight either way.
Indeed.
And the things that make you a great heavyweight are the same things that make you a great bantamweight.
Indeed.
And if you're lacking in one of them, you're not going to be successful.
Indeed.
And that's the mantra I try to put forth. But it went over well in a police environment, and they got the gist of what I was trying to say. So we attended the Save Gala at the Hard Rock Stadium back at the middle of June. And again, with the intel meetings, met with Animal Control. We had a meeting, and they're going to do a joint teaching with Biscayne Park and us, and going over the things available to us and what we can do when we need assistance with animal-related issues. We just had one, as a matter of fact, a couple days after we had the meeting. But we were able to get that basically resolved. I reached out to the family too, where the pig was attacked by a pit bull, supposed pit bull. But Animal Control is going to look into it regarding the pit bull. Not so much investigate anything else, but just if it fell or if it violated any county ordinances. They'll be the experts on that. They'll make that determination. But what I was happy to hear was that both sides of the fence, for lack of a better word, were very amicable and got along well, and they both, and the victim said, he's been nothing but a gentleman. So I was glad to hear that. There was no animosity that came from that, and so we went out and checked out the next day too to make sure that happened. So kudos to the officers that took it upon themselves to do that. We had the coffee with the chief at the end of June. And again, all officers are in compliance with the FDLE training, as I indicated. Started a 24-hour, in May, June, started in May, the park and walk. And what has happened over the past 2 months for the department, when I divided, because I said do it in minutes, I'll do the math. Over 24 hours of park and walk for the police department in 2 months. That's people are out of their cars walking around, and it's being told. People have told me, yeah, they see the cops walking around, you know, and a lot of people are doing it also for surveillance purposes, walking around, seeing what's going on, going up to hot areas, looking, just saying hey to people. But it's working. They bought into it. They're out walking around, and that's a good thing. The rapid response teams is another policy we put out. I touched upon that 2 months ago, but the policy was completed. And again, in any major incident, we will have as many officers as we can brought in to deal with issues such as a missing person, Lord forbid a missing child, or something that's going to take time over a period of time. That's going to be a long, drawn-out process. I know last time we talked about, I know the mayor brought up something, I know she's not here, but she brought up something about being kept in the loop, for lack of a better word. I can assure you, and I can attest to the fact that the manager and the mayor are kept in the loop of what is going on. As time permits, right off the bat, once it gets rectified and I have some important information to process, then it can be disseminated out to the rest of the council. But it is being put out. Nobody's going to be taken by surprise on my watch. If there's something important, you're going to know about it. If it's something that's of a confidential nature that I can't, then as soon as it's over and I can discuss it, I will. But by and large, for instance, the fire, I was back on the phone, back and forth with the fire a couple of weeks ago on 2 Avenue, and a couple other items, crime-related issues. So that shouldn't be an issue anymore, but we'll stay on top of it to make sure it never becomes an issue. I'm still working with the Shores. I have a meeting next week with the chief to determine, if anything, the pros and cons of being on the frequency. I really am neutral on that. If the cost is too much, I would say no. That's my opinion. But I want to hear what they have to say and how welcome, you know, we would be to be part of that, and what it would entail for us from a budgetary point of view. So I've been on top of that. And that's basically it over the past 2 months. It's just a work in progress. We keep moving along. I like the attitude of the police and their proactivity and how they're going about things. You know, following up, I think, is very important. So I'm happy at what I'm seeing.
Thank you very much. I have a couple of questions, but before I get to those, you know, I like to let everybody get their chance to go first. But and before I get to that, I know that Madam Manager, you work very closely with the police department. Is there anything that you want to add or comment or say?
I would just whispering this to the village attorney. I'm very pleased with the leadership we have with our new chief, police chief Magnus. I mean, he's been doing a fantastic job. I think all of the officers are respectful of him and feel challenged by him, and that's a good. It's changed the department. It's made it a lot easier to work, and I think that will be reflected as you see officers more visible and coming to more events and doing activities and volunteering, and I think they needed that. So I applaud you, Chief Magnuson, for coming in and doing such a great job in just 2 months. You made tremendous strides, so I thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Definitely hit the ground running. We appreciate that. Councilperson, how are you doing?
Good.
The floor is yours.
Thank you.
Councilperson.
Thank you for the updates, Chief. I have a couple of questions regarding your updates. With the park and walk, and I'm just wondering, I haven't seen them, so I'm just wondering, is there a specific area that they're, or can you share a little bit more about where they're walking?
There's no specific area. They're just told to get out of the car, be seen, walk around as they see fit, depending on the calls, and not to walk too far from the car. They just walk the block, get back in. You know, they do it numerous times a day. I think a lot of the officers do it a little bit more at night. It's a lot cooler.
Cooler, yeah.
But they also may see things better on foot, you know, and anything that comes out suspicious.
Okay. I think it's great. I just haven't seen, so I was wondering when it started and like if there was a specific area where they were starting first, maybe the northwest side or.
Wherever they patrol, they've been told to, you know, stop the car, get out, walk the block, get back in, find another place. It's nothing so stringent that they're gonna stop buying into it after a while. I think it's good that they're out on foot, they can see things. Not everybody is gonna see them, but I can tell you there's people that have seen them.
Right, no, I'm sure.
You know, and I'm sure you'll see them. They're walking everywhere, you know. They just, again, what I tell them is, don't, you know, circle the block.
Right.
You don't want to be 5 blocks down when an
When your
emergency
car-
call comes in,
yeah.
you got to wind sprint it back.
Right.
That's no good. And I just think it's good. And, you know, when people's driving by on the main thoroughfare, see a cop walking. He may even just be walking 3 blocks down and cuts in. They don't know that, but it just looks good.
I'm
I
seeing a
think
lot more driving around, so.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes.
So I do want to point that out, and I walk my dog twice a day or sometimes 3 times a day. So at different times, I don't keep a schedule on purpose, but that's why I was asking. So.
No, they're up and down blocks. They're cut. Their goal is to hit just about every block up and down avenues and come up and down, go around. And if there's areas of other concern, swing by there a couple of times. I will say something I neglected to say, that we are trying to build up a pretty robust crime watch, and I know there's going to be a meeting in a couple of weeks down in the near where the bridge is down there, because that's another concern that I'm in touch with the county with. That's not an El Portel problem per se. It is an El Portel problem because the people firing weapons around Larchmont, the bullets have no eyes. And so we want to be on the same page with them, and hopefully they can work something out over there and get tactical. If they need our assistance with anything, or they want to bring one of our officers to assist on any missions they may have, we'd be more than happy to assist them with that.
While you break that up, that bridge, the concern that I think you heard at the breakfast that you had, the breakfast with the chief, the coffee with the chief, was that a lot of kids are jumping that bridge, and they jump it at different times. So it may not be an El Portal problem, but when they're jumping over to El Portal or from El Portal, you know.
Well, ultimately it can be, and we're vigilant on it, and that's why we want to beef up the crime watch. Right now, though, the problem, hands down, is over in Larchmont. We don't want them to bring the problem over here, obviously. But we're trying to stay on top of it and be proactive with this. And then again, as the mayor pointed out, and numerous times, it's, you know, enhance the relationship we have with the county. It's already enhanced. We are going to be there with them. And hopefully, if they do something over there, like I alluded to, that they invite us to join in with them. I think it's good because we have that mutual aid. Let them see an El Portel car on the other side there, assist them.
Right, absolutely. You mentioned the policies and procedures are updated, thank you so much, and that they're on the thumb drive. Have you, or do we have a shared drive that maybe, or is that something that you may consider having instead so that it's automatically updated instead of the thumb drive?
Well, we do have shared drive, we just haven't utilized that. That is something we could do. I need to speak with IT about it. We just wanted something that was so portable for the officers that they could just, take it anywhere and be at home or, wherever to do it.
Yeah, shared drive is typically on the cloud, so it's really.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we could probably just do that as well, in addition to the thumb drive.
I'd like to, and I did see an email, just forgive me, I have not been able to read it yet, with some details in regards to the McGrath update
Yes.
and report. I'm wondering if you could, on the record, give us some update as to where we are with, I know you mentioned the policies are already updated.
Policies are updated, the staffing, the training has been taken care of. There's still more to go. We're on top of that. I'm working on some ideas I'm sharing, with the manager as far as what we can do to enhance the supervision within the police department. There's a few more areas that, again, they escaped my mind. I know I put it into an email when the citizen asked. I think Ms. McLean, was it?
Yeah, Kristen McLean.
Yes, and I got back with her that same day. I was able to look up the report for her. But a number of these areas have been taken forward. And I'll be happy to forward you the email.
It'd be great if the council can get an update as to where we are with McGrath, line by line, and let us know where we're at so that we're aware. I know we were in negotiations, it was mentioned at the last council meeting with the PBA agreement. Are we still in the middle of those, or do you have anything to report?
It's just an opener, I think. Tony.
The opener, yeah, the opener, that's what I meant.
Yeah, we finalized that. In fact, we just discussed the last points of that. And I was going to ask later on that we may ask the special meeting just to deal with it so it can be on the upcoming council agenda so that we can address it as they take on vehicle policy.
Right.
We worked out the last wrinkle in it.
Okay, so there's an agreement?
Yes, there is.
Okay, excellent. And the other things that I have are actually from my notes that I took from the March committee meeting, which you weren't here, and we didn't really address them at the last meeting. Most of them are regarding budget, and so because we're going into the budget and everything, and I have to review still what's in the budget now that we're going to be proposing. But I know that we asked to include all the training in the police budget to make sure that it's lined item, so that we know exactly what it is, like the discretionary and then shooting training that you just did.
Well, that was mandatory, so that would cover the cost of the targets, the rental fee, and the ammunition that's needed.
So if we could just, what we had asked at the committee had discussed at that meeting was that we have a public safety, which we do, the area, and then that each line item so that we know. So in the past, what's happened, Chief, is that we just have a total and we don't have it broken down. So we'd like to see it broken down.
Something like schools, we wouldn't know really what's coming up until.
So whatever estimates, it's just a matter of estimates, and just so that we can budget accordingly and we know what's, especially the annual things, anything that's annually done.
So, one second.
Yeah, go ahead.
So are you saying, Chief, that because a lot of this stuff is being done for the first time, that you wouldn't know it at this particular time, but next year, after doing it the first time, then you would be able to know how much it more or less would be?
Some of it. Some I should be able to tell, but like for instance, I got an idea now of the range and what it's
Because
going to
you've done
cost.
it.
Because we've done it,
Yeah,
right.
so yes, I think that, just to be fair to you, the things that you haven't done yet, if you don't know them right now, then that's understandable, because there's a lot of new things that we're implementing that we haven't done in the past. So if you don't know those costs yet, you might need to go through them first to then know, more or less how much it costs.
Yeah, that's exactly what, and I can thank you for bringing that up. I've also been able to get or have free training pushed our way, and it's worked. I mean, with some of the contacts and people looking out for us, so we were able to get that. I know Officer Battaglia just came back from a very interesting training, or community relations related training on basically the aesthetics of the houses and how it deals with crime and stuff like that, what you can do. It's perfect for the crime watch. So that fits in well. We had other training coming up in the next couple of weeks. UCR coding, that's going to be free because we're going to need that for the UCR codes when we update our statistics to FDLE, and a number of other trainings that we were able to have thrown our way. So we look for those free trainings. Some of them unfortunately won't be free, but I understand certainly to keep the costs down.
Sorry.
The other item that I have here is we discussed perhaps going after more grants, initiatives. There was this grant at the time that I wrote down here that Ruano, I think, applied for. So the committee wanted a more proactive approach to grants, searches and what we can, apply to.
I just signed off on a grant about 2 weeks ago, and I'm just reviewing one now. And what I do is I I like to have certain officers deal with certain areas, subject matter experts, and I'll be discussing the most recent grant tomorrow to see thoughts on it, if it would fit for us. It may be more geared towards fire department, but if we can swing something out of it, we may be able to do so. So we're looking into it. We got, we're checking the grants.
Excellent, great. And then, where are we, at the time that we had that meeting, which is in March, I think we're missing one car for a new officer. So are we still in that, and is that going to be placed in the budget? Like, is that something we're looking at for the budget?
Yes. Well, we're looking at the cars we have to like, I don't know that we're gonna buy a car for the new officer. We may utilize something in our fleet that's, that's usable. We're also looking at the replacement officer as well as position. And I think I spoke to both of you. I wanted to speak to you individually and run some ideas past you before we come up with that idea. But we're still interested in hiring another full-time police officer.
Okay, and the black car is still being used?
The black car is used by the chief. That's the chief's car.
That's the chief's car.
And then all other cars have been striped and they have their lights and they are utilized.
I apologize, give me 1 second, I'm just making sure I'm going over, because you weren't here for that meeting, so I want to make sure I cover. I think that's it in terms of what I see that's important. If anything else comes up, then I'll run it through the manager. But yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilperson Roman, I appreciate it. Councilperson Earl, I'm really not on this committee, but your voice is as important to me as anybody else's, so if there's anything that you want to comment or ask the chief.
No, I would just say essentially the same as the manager was saying, that it's really great to have Chief Magnuson here, and it definitely felt different from day one, and feels good. So I say kudos to him and his team, and I'm excited to see what we can do in the future.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for that. Mr. Attorney, is there anything you want to comment or question? Or?
I guess I can make one comment. I don't usually follow next door, but something popped up on my computer the other day, and it was really complimentary about your officers, especially Officer Battaglia, concerning his work and your work in the community. And so I kind of pulled it up again, and it was just really great to read that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Manager, anything else that you last want to add? Or?
No, I have nothing more to add.
No?
Just, happy that our department is on the right course and it's stabilized. Thank you all for
And
supporting.
if it just going to a point, because again, I apologize, I didn't have all that information on my graph, but it's good news. I mean, I'm always tempted to go run and get it, or if I can find it here, because I keep it at a file at home, I keep going to it. But if it's with your approval, I'll email what we've gotten done already to everybody here. That's not a problem in bullet form.
That'd be great.
Okay.
That was a huge eye-opener for all of us, for the council, for our staff, for the community. And so that's part of the reason why you're here. And so I think it's really important that we stay on top of it and that we know what direction we're moving in.
I would say this when I look over everything. It looks like a big mountain to climb, but let me tell you, once you get started, it's not all that difficult.
That's good.
The idea is maintaining it, and that's simple as well.
Right.
Just got to start tackling one after another, and you will soon find that one has to do with the other, has to do with the other, and really, you knock one out, you knock 3 or 4 out. So don't let the amount overwhelm you, because it's really not as bad as it may look. In paper-wise, it's shrinking greatly.
Good.
It's shrinking
Good,
greatly,
good.
so that's good news.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with your professionalism, your experience. So,
Well, I would say
not everybody.
also a combination of the officers wanting to get out
Of course.
and do it. And I can have them do anything they want, that I want. They have to want it in order to do it right. And they're doing it.
So part of leadership is giving them, the pride and giving them the energy and giving them the wanting to want to do that also, with a positive attitude. So We appreciate
Well, I'm
it.
just still being here too, so, that's fine.
It starts from the top, I think it's what
Yes.
Vice Mayor's trying to say.
Exactly.
And it's a breath of fresh air to have energy and to have passion and all of that. So that's something that's definitely encouraged and welcomed.
Thank you.
And we do thank you, I do agree with everything that our manager said, as well as what our Vice Mayor said. We have seen a difference. And so we thank you, and we just want it to remain consistent.
It will.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
I just had one question. I had two questions originally. I had three. Councilperson Roman, she's a stickler for her education on everything that we go over. So I always appreciate it because when she goes first, she helps me out because she covers things that I was going to cover. I'm like, look at that, she's saving my breath. I don't even talk about it anymore. But what I did want to bring up, there were two other things. One of them, I don't want it to come off as like I disagree with it or anything else. This is just my ignorance. And that has to do with and I think you guys did the right thing, but I'm going to just have a question about it. And that is the taking the tents off the police cars. And the only question I was going to have about it, I have nothing against it, but is because when I look at like the city of Miami and Miami-Dade, like they're blacked out.
What's wrong?
And so, and that's what I was going to ask, why do I see every other police car like the city or like the county?
Because I'm not the chief of it.
Okay, all right. That's what I was wondering. I was so confused. 'Cause I didn't know if it was like I didn't know, because the first thing I thought about was like, well, is it a safety thing? I was like, is it the type of thing to where the police, they don't want the criminals to see what they're actually doing?
They're in a
Like,
mock unit.
So I didn't know. So that was my first
You know,
question.
the canine, it all started way back with the canine. I fully agree with that. At least it should be the darkest of tints in the back to keep the dog cool. Somewhere along the way, it started where, and I run a lot, I run sometimes down Dixie Highway, on the sidewalk, mind you, but are you waving to somebody, and you wonder, guy see me? Does he even know what I look like? I mean, it's to that point where I don't like it.
Yeah.
I think it takes away from it. Now, to each his own. I mean, if they're happy with it, they're happy with it. Like I said, I'm not the chief there.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think it's a great thing what we're doing. I was just so confused. I was driving around, like, a couple of times, are we going to lift the tents off? I was like, are we doing the right thing? Like, are we okay? So I appreciate that.
We're a small village,
Yeah.
and it's part of community, and I agree. I mean, when I would walk my dog, I had no idea if the officer's waving back
For
at
sure,
me or
for sure.
who it is.
For sure.
And so now, I feel like the sense of community with the police department is coming back.
For sure. I didn't want it to be like a thing where like we were out of like some type of compliance that I didn't
Correct.
know about or something like that. Because I was looking around, I was like, I hope we're not out of compliance, but everybody else is like has the opposite, So I just wanted to ask that question to make sure that was okay. The other thing was, it's more of a comment. I just wanted to say, I hope that we're taking care of the decoy car and that it's being moved around.
I touched upon that.
Yeah, the way it should be.
It's there after 2 days moving.
Yeah,
Even if
you know,
it's
the
down the
pad,
block.
we had it to where like there's leaves.
Well,
and-
it's been sitting there for like 2 weeks in the same spot.
And that's why I was bringing that up.
Yeah.
So that's about it. Anybody up here on the dais has anything else that they want to say? To the chief? Any questions, comments? Hearing none. Thank you, Chief, very much. We appreciate it. All right. Take care, man. Enjoy. We'll talk about the Thurman Pacquiao fight coming up.
I like that.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. All right. For G2, it was a tracking report. The mayor's the chairperson. She kind of runs that. I didn't want to take anything off or focus on anything without her being here. I didn't want to do that without her, just for respect out of her. And I love my mayor. Is there anything on the tracking report, though, Councilperson Roman, that you just want to touch on or hit on? Or
Well, the tracking report that we got is not the correct one. So, from our last meeting that I was referencing, there's a lot of new items that we wanted to update into that tracking report, and I believe it was updated, but I'm not sure, so.
Yeah. Well, the mayor, like I said, the mayor, I
Yeah.
think that, in the next committee meeting, when she comes back, we'll
But I'm okay with skipping the tracking report,
Okay.
'cause
I just wanted to make sure if there anything like that was might be pressing, that was sticking out to you, or, you know, anything else you might just want to bring up, that's all.
no.
All right, thank you very much. At this point in time, we're going to Good and Welfare. This right here is a time for anybody out here in the audience to come up and say anything at all. It does not have to be necessarily about the Public Safety Committee. It could be anything that's on your mind. Thank you very much. Seeing and hearing none. We're going to move on to adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Well, first of all, before I adjourn, is there anybody up here in the dais that has anything left they want to say or any questions about the anything on the committee? Hearing, seeing none. Do I have a motion to adjourn the Public Safety Committee?
I'll motion.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Roman. I'll second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. This is very good. The Public Safety Committee meeting for Tuesday, July the 2nd will be adjourned at 7:13 p.m. Thank you very much.